monuments, plinths, flagpole across there and getting ready. You can freeze frame it. Hello, Grace.
Hi.
See the one up there?
Hello, Right guys, how you think of today? Is a momentous occasion, you think?
Very good weather today.
It's on the road to freedom.
On the road to freedom.
Definitely. Definitely, the road to freedom.
So I think we'll get a great turnout, guys.
I hope so, aye. It's a lovely day. People are meant to be coming from Glasgow and everything.
Can I get a photograph?
Aye.
Come on, I'll take you.
Phase 1 of a two-phase project. Phase 1.
Long time coming?
A long time coming, but better late than never, eh?
Oh, that's for sure, eh?
Never too late, so that's good. No, it's all positive.
All positive.
Definitely positive.
I think we'll get a good turnout today.
A lot of positive people about here, aye, definitely.
Aye,
Yep,
so, yeah.
yep. The weather will help. Weather's
Oh,
always
the weather,
good.
that's it.
Yeah. My grandfather used to say to me, "You're a clever boy," he said, "and people will pay you lots of compliments when you're older, son." He said, "But remember this." He said, "You're not as great as you think you are," he says, "and the size of your funeral will depend on the weather."
Very good.
So I think, yes, we might well get a good crowd.
turnout,
Yeah.
What's your name?
Duncan Brown.
Duncan Brown,
Yeah.
right. Thank you, Duncan.
Yeah, well,
Appreciate it.
I'm going to do it again, but...
So there's not much going on.
Wait a minute, Eddie. Right, Eddie.
Otherwise known as Feather.
Feather, and your
I'm
name's
Feather in the Wallace Society.
You're the Feather,
I'm
yeah?
the Feather.
And how do you feel about the day?
Oh, fine. It's a
Fine.
lovely day today.
I think it's a momentous occasion,
A
this.
momentous occasion to
Definitely.
come and do this. I travelled all the way through from Glenbranton and Argyll.
Argyll?
Aye,
Oh,
that's
that's far travel, isn't it?
That's it. All this distance, aye. An hour and a half away.
An hour and a half.
Aye.
So you think we'll get a great turnout today?
Oh well, I think they'll all come today, but
I think so.
my son and them's coming up for air, and that's it. Well, you get everybody coming. I don't know whether it's the ones coming down for Och coming to the Black Isle.
Black Isle, yeah.
Some of them I think is coming.
That's
But
great.
we'll see what happens when they all come. There we are.
Right, thank you.
Thank you.
Some would say 718 years a bit late, but better late than never. The purpose of the Guardians Trust, which was originally formed in 2012, is to commemorate on the field, on the battle site, of this famous Battle of Stirling Bridge to commemorate the battle in situ, and also the two commanders of the Scottish Army, and I'm talking of course about Andrew de Murray and William Wallace. This is phase one, with the unveiling of these three beautiful lecterns down at the bottom there, which is specially engraved, and the unfurling of the Saltire, which will be the last thing we do today. Phase two, which is the biggie, with your help, is to erect a monument somewhere between these 2 points, somewhere approximately here, a work of art. It could be a monument, a statue of the two guardians here as a permanent site. And that's what we're now going to be pursuing with the help of public and private funding. And if you've got a generous pocket, you can always make your contribution. As I say, it's been a long time getting here, which surprises me a little. William Wallace was my personal hero when I was a small boy. He still is my personal hero. And my belief has always been that without Wallace and de Murray, perhaps the War of Independence couldn't have taken place. They were the two guys that stood up and said, come on, let's stand up and regain our independence and our self-respect as well. So they played a crucial part in that whole historical period. So here we are today. Now, there are a few thank yous I'd like to make, if you'll bear with me, because a lot of people have made generous contributions in kind or in cash to this exercise. First of all, I have to thank my own council and the Common Good Fund, and I'm delighted to say that our Provost, Provost Robbins, is here today, and so too are the other two Provosts from Clackmannan and Falkirk. Let's give them a round of applause. It's good to see them together. I'd also like to thank Historic Scotland and Forth Valley College for the stonemasonry work which was done at the college. When you see the engravings, you'll see the quality artmanship, craftsmanship that's been done by the students in collaboration with Historic Scotland. Staff at Stirling Council have been more than helpful, particularly the archaeology, educational, criminal justice and planning departments. Criminal justice did a great job cleaning up the site. They were here litter picking literally before this event, painting the building over there, and we thank them. I'm hoping that they'll turn up, but the staff and pupils of St Ninian's Primary School have played an important part. They were involved in the archaeological dig on site, and I'm hoping they may be with us today to help us handle these three beautiful pieces of stonework. I'd like to give a special thanks to Tradstocks and Peter Stewart of Tradstocks, a very fine company based in Ruskey in the western rural area, for providing the stone and doing all the work, and they deserve a special round of applause for the work that they've done. And I'm glad to say Peter Stewart is with us today. Archaeologists led by Murray Cook have done a lot of good work for us here. Paddy McNeill, who is a trustee, and you'll hear from him later, who wrote the poem in Old Scots, which you'll see on the stone. Dr. Elspeth King, for all her advice. Elspeth King of the Smith put a power of work. She's also a trustee, and I thank her kindly for that. The Gildry, Stirling Gildry, whose history goes back to King David II. I'm pleased to say that the Dean of Guild is here to represent the Gildry today. I'd also like to thank Clanranald, who are now based in Callander, at just off Ancaster Square in the Kilmahog Church, for providing today. Not only have we got William Wallace, but we've also got Andrew de Murray in person. A big round of applause for these two guys. In addition to our three provosts, I'm delighted to say we've got MSPs here today. Murdo Fraser's kindly turned up. I know Bruce Crawford's en route, our local MSP. And I'm also pleased to say that we have with us on his very first public gig in his constituency, our brand new Member of Parliament, Stephen Patterson.
Well,
There he is there. So all these people we've got to thank for this support and being here today. And your good selves for coming as well. And this is all about commemorating two great men. And of course, Andrew de Murray was wounded, as you probably know, at the battle, and died of his wounds some months later. And as a result of dying, I suppose, faded into insignificance. But he had a very important part to play in the Wars of Independence. He was working in the north, Wallace in the south. The two got together for this battle. And they say that the two were a very good team, because Andrew de Murray was the tactician. He was the guy who was saying, this is how we'll fight the battle. And Wallace was the big man with the big sword out front saying, follow me, boys. And the two of them together made a great team. And sadly, of course, de Murray passed away shortly after the battle. Now, ladies and gentlemen, to actually officially unveil part one of our work today, that's to say the 3 lecterns and raising the flag, I'm delighted to welcome to speak to us now Stuart Maxwell MSP. Stuart is the chairman of the All-Party Scottish Parliament committee. He convenes that committee on education and culture, and he's a very suitable person to handle the whole thing. Please give a round of applause to Stuart Maxwell MSP.
Thank you very much, Fergus. As Fergus said, I'm the convener of the Education and Culture Committee in the Parliament, and I'm speaking today as the convener of the committee. And Murdo Fraser's watching very carefully that I stay neutral, which is a very difficult task today, and not speak as an SNP MSP, but I'll do my best. I may stray off message slightly, 1 or 2 points, but this is an extremely important day. I'm very honoured to be here today because I think there is nothing more critical than to commemorate our history, and in particular the role of William Wallace and Andrew de Murray in making Scotland the country that it is today. I want to thank the Guardians of Scotland Trusts. I want to thank the artists, the historians, the local supporters, the stonemasons and many other individuals who've been involved in this project, because it is a common cause of commemoration and indeed celebration of the work of these 2 great men. Everything we see here today is the culmination of their hard work, their dedication, their effort, and I'm delighted that it's only the first of many other planned projects. Now, I'm very keen to note in particular the Trust's plans to ultimately commission a monument, as Fergus mentioned, depicting Wallace and de Murray, and I believe this would indeed be a very fitting tribute to the timeless partnership that they forged here at Stirling. Now, I know it's obvious to everyone here why it's important to remember the part that these 2 men played in our national story. Indeed, without Wallace and without de Murray, our national history may have developed very differently. Without them, there may not have been a Scotland at all for us to talk about today. Sadly for Wallace and de Murray, they never lived to see the culmination of their own efforts. Of course, Scotland's survival seemed to them far from certain when de Murray died in 1297 and Wallace in 1304. They did, however, lay the foundations of Scotland's future success, but they never could have imagined that 700 years later we'd be standing here today remembering them and commemorating their efforts all that time ago. I think one of the most important lessons that we can learn from Wallace and de Murray is that partnership. And it's appropriate that we give respect and pay respect to the work that they did, to all of the men, not just the 2 men in particular, but all of the men who fought in those battles, who got us to the point we're at today. But the projects being taken forward by the Guardians of Scotland Trust will undoubtedly assist in that aim, but also there are many other practical applications of this work. They're a contribution to the development of Scotland's tourism and cultural sector. I'm going to wait a minute. Sometimes you just can't win. I don't think it was my side, Fergus, actually. What I was trying to say is that these are a contribution to Scotland's tourism and cultural sector. They're a contribution to their economy. They create jobs, they promote culture, they promote the local area, they give something else that tourists can come and see, as well as locals to celebrate. However, I think the fundamental value of the work being undertaken here by the Guardians of Scotland is that it ensures that we as a nation know our history. We seek to do so not with a sense of triumphalism or a sense of boastfulness, but in order to learn from the past and to say, this is who we are as a nation, this is our story. And I think that is an incredibly important message for the young people today. I went to school a number of years ago, and when I was at school I was taught about the First World War, I was taught about the Chartist movement. What I wasn't taught about was our own history. As convener of the Scottish Parliament's Education and Culture Committee, I'm very aware that as a nation we have not always placed the necessary importance on appreciating our own history. Indeed, the Scottish Government came in for some unjustified criticism from some quarters when it reintroduced the dedicated teaching of Scottish history within our education system. And frankly, I don't understand why anyone would object to teaching our young people about their own history. I know that I've not got the children are here yet, but when I see the young children of St Ninian's Primary who were involved in participating in the production of this lectern project, and of course they get involved as budding archaeologists, I would challenge anyone to say that history is not a force for good, that it brings people together, that it teaches them new skills and it stimulates their imagination. I think that's a force for good, to learn your own history, and I am glad that the Scottish Government has reintroduced Scottish history. When seeing children involved in such a project, it should also remind us that we have a responsibility to protect our history, our historic sites and our culture for future generations. Work that's been undertaken by the Scottish Government, organisations such as Historic Scotland, the National Museums of Scotland, Canmore, have been essential in the preservation of historic sites and artefacts across the country. The Scottish Government have also introduced an inventory of Scottish battlefield sites, long overdue in my opinion, to promote the enjoyment, the understanding and the sustainable management of those sites. Now, I believe that the range of actions that the Scottish Government have taken show that we are taking our responsibilities seriously. We are hopefully striking the right balance between promotion and preservation of our historic sites. And as the Scottish Government moves forward with this work, other organisations such as the Scottish Battlefields Trust, Strathleven Artisans and of course the Guardians of Scotland Trust will prove absolutely vital in complementing the work taking forward at government level. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to pay tribute to the passion and the dedication of all the volunteers. They've been involved in this project for a long time, and for them it's a great day today. The work that you have all undertaken has undoubtedly contributed to the renewed interest that we've seen in Scottish history and culture in recent years. The educational lectern site will also help to overturn the historical injustice, and I very much welcome that Demurray's pivotal role at the Battle of Stirling Bridge will finally receive the recognition that it truly deserves. But in closing, I want to say one thing. I want to wish the Guardians of Scotland Trust well as they move forward onto the next stage of the project to commission a statue to Wallace at Demurray. And I, like many others, will take a very keen interest in that project. But finally, I'd also like to reiterate my appreciation for being invited to the ceremony today, and I'm sure we'll all be in agreement that this is indeed a very fitting tribute to both William Wallace and Andrew Demurray, and of course the contributions that they made in forging the nation of Scotland. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stuart. It might be of interest for you to know that the whinstone used to make those 3 lecterns came from Bannockburn, the area of Bannockburn. So there's a direct connection. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce Padraig MacNeill. Padraig is an amazing guy. I was with him in Ireland when he spoke at an Irish Gaelic meeting in Gaelic, and then went into Gaelic, and then Old Scots. It's my pleasure to introduce Padraig MacNeill. Padraig is an amazing guy. I was with him in Ireland when he spoke at an Irish Gaelic meeting in Gaelic, and then went into Gaelic, and then Old Scots.
Of Andrew Demurray, the term moral integrity springs to mind. Here's a man whose father died of terrible privations in the Tower of London, as did his uncle. And yet throughout the wars of independence, he showed absolutely unparalleled mercy to his enemies, especially after the siege of Urquhart Castle and places like that. Capturing the custodian of the castle in Urquhart, letting him go, the whole English army go, capturing him again after the Battle of Stirling Bridge and letting him go again. He was some guy. The poem Demurray, it's a 2,000-line poem, and this section of it is a kind of summation of the Battle of Stirling Bridge. The bridge is over, he's already fallen from his horse, and this is now revealing actually what happened to him, and it's kind of looking back. And it's from each page is a chapter, and this chapter is called Triumph and Trade, and that includes part of that, what's on the stone there. Now others say fi Cressingham been flayed, A baldric 'twas that William Wallace made, but ane thing's safe to say, sick a presage, that Warren and invasors got the message. For flee would ilka ane except Fitzwarren, and twang would haud the castle with his wardens, until the Scots would tak it wi' great ease, for baith to capture and in time to lease. But on the heroes chased retreating frays, through Abbey Ford and Torwood for to raid the baggage trains in Harrington to battle. Rick through Dunbar and Berwick, Warren shackles to Brackway, leaving money in the chase, their bodies strewn for Stirling till that place. But Andra stayed in Harrington for solace, to write the Lubeck letter signed with Wallace, for trade to build Beframet Port's foundations, but on the terms of their beloved nation. For Murray paired with Wallace were the Brecht, through bearers o' Scots liberty and licht, by heathens mixed and ricks and ancient laws, ye drained by Scotia stain for Scotland's cause. For by the year of 1297, on Dreich September's month and day 11, if Wallace was the heart of this campaign, that Murray 'twas this eagle eye and brain, was quailed would play its part with bleed and quillion, I bound wi' mocht and fiery fierce Tremillion, would brag the fay and triumph for to roust, or Aldrin Strivlin brag the fay to rout and Dunsey Mower, where mid his fecht and floody, and Ara straight would ding down noble Murray, will never fay the fray, nor fled nor slucht, nor day would either at Don glorious hour, but heathech sprechet, down the other river. Thanks be to God for Scotland has been livered, but for the English, hick his heat to steep, to stick his in there ever for to sleep. Aye, he was heat held hech, aye ganging for it, sae steadfast as the crag we hail here lodded. Thank you.
Thank you, Paddy. And thank you for your great contribution as a trustee from the historical point of view. He's made a huge effort to the work of the Trust. Now, I'm glad to say that the current descendant of Andrew de Murray, the Earl of Murray, is in good health, unlike de Murray's father, languishing in the Tower, etc. And can I just say, I've said already that my hero is William Wallace, but it's, for me, particularly relevant today that we commemorate Andrew de Murray. I'm delighted that he is earning his place on this very site. And it's my great pleasure to introduce to you our patron, the Earl of Murray.
Thank you very much, Fergus. It's a very great honour for me to be here. On my way here today, I was thinking, wouldn't it be marvellous if Andrew de Murray could turn up here today in some miraculous time machine, and having arrived, maybe that has actually happened. But as one of my great heroes, and as somebody I've looked up to all my life, if he was here, he introduced himself to me, he'd probably say, "So where have you come from?" And I'd say, "Well, I've just come down from Murray, from near your home." He would say, "Well, nobody just comes down from Murray. You know, how many days did it take you to get here? Did you come over the mountains or round by the east? Was it safe? Which guides did you use?" And I think I'd feel a bit guilty if I said I had a boiled egg at home at 8 o'clock in the morning and just got in the car and came down the A9. You know, I look at Murray as part of, I would include amongst him and Wallace, with Thomas Randolph, who I think shouldn't be forgotten, who's Earl of Murray, and Robert the Bruce. And we judge these heroes very often by how legend and history comes down to us, and that could be through contemporary descriptions of them, or perhaps the artifacts that they've left behind. And with Wallace, we've got his sword just barely a mile from here, which is something I'd bring my boys, take them to see it on several occasions. We know that Wallace was a very big man, maybe 6'6", so it's easy to conjure up an image of a very heroic figure as a real life person. And with Bruce, we know that his skull was disinterred from Dunfermline Abbey in 1880, and with a facial reconstruction from in the preparation for his monument at Bannockburn in 1964. We got a very good idea of what his face looked like and what sort of man he appeared. A real, not William Wallace figure really, but somebody who looked like a prize fighter. With Thomas Randolph, there's very little physical description of him. It's hard to get a mental image of him, but there is a baldric, a leather harness in the British Museum with come from his horse with his heraldic emblems on it, which gives a very lovely connection to him. And but with Andrew, there's nothing tangible. I don't really know what he looks like. I do now, but until I didn't know what he looks like, and it's very hard to have any kind of. There's no objects or swords relating to him, and the closest I could possibly get was this very small object that lives at home. I wish it was a little seal belonging to Andrew de Murray. It's actually a seal that belonged to Thomas Randolph, and it's fair to say that perhaps in the late 13th century, I like to think that Andrew Murray may have seen this seal, and but that's all I've had to go on until today, and it's just a huge honour and pleasure for me to be involved with the plinths and the monument to Andrew and to William Wallace, and finally we actually have a really tangible object that we can go to and think about Andrew and William, and gives us the first real connection for us to go back to Andrew de Murray, and it's a huge honour for me to be patron of the society who so tirelessly worked towards creating this great tangible monument to a man who died for his beliefs and his cause, only a stone's throw from here. So thank you very much for having me to speak today.
The Earl of Murray. We also have, I'm not going to ask him to speak, but I'm going to ask him to join the Earl of Murray and our two compadres here, and also Stuart, to do a wee walk down to behind the piper, round formally Hansling and past the children, waving to them as you go, and finishing up at the flagpole, which we're going to raise the flag.
These are the Scottish one.
So, I'm going to just say the last speaker today, but he's more of a singer. I think he's well known to all of you. You see him here every 11th of September, is Ted Christopher. He's going to sing two songs, one about the Guardians and two about Stirling Bridge and the battle, which will be a very appropriate moment for us to raise the Saltire.
And the car.
What do we get? 3 guys and 1 bit of string back. How do you do it? I don't mind it, but here you go. Take it. We'll get a hand on it. Work up this side.
I'm going to raise the Saltire during the second song that I'm doing. It's not just the hurt that you feel on any battlefield when you're standing above men who fell, but hurt because this is one of the most important sites in Scottish history. A site that's dear to the hearts of Scots everywhere. And there is nothing here to tangibly commemorate it. My town was written down my country. The first time we can stand here without hurt. We can stand with pride. A week ago, I stood up at Och as they raised the Saltire above Castle Ormond, where de Murray first raised his standard to signify the start of the North Rising and the Wars of Independence. He joined Wallace at Dundee and came down here to Stirling Bridge to win this victory. I want to thank the Guardians of Scotland Trust. Wallace and de Murray were the Guardians of Scotland. We took that name for the Trust because it was inspiration. And I would just like to say that from this day on, every Scot, each and every one of us here, now we get the Guardians of Scotland. My name is Andrew de Murray, and the North is rising to take back our country for those that belong. So take this letter to Wallace O'Ellerslie, tell him for Scotland he doesn't stand alone. The Saltire is flying, we're taking back the North, we'll join him at the fort. We'll stand together as Guardians of Scotland, and the name of our country will for our time remain, and forever the children of Scotland can be proud of their fathers and the freedom they gained.
Sorry about the pipe.
They come in their thousands. They thought that they would crush us, but brave hearts stood their ground. We sent them all to hell. This wind will soon take me, but my final breath I give, knowing I'm indeed, but this year's really love. We stood together as Guardians of Scotland, to the name of our country will for our time remain, and forever the children of Scotland can be proud of their fathers and the freedom they gained. So ease your hand, dear William, for now I must leave you here at Stirling Bridge. This was our finest hour, and long centuries faded. Scotsmen will stand here, and for the blood beneath their feet, till I say a wee prayer. We'll stand together as Guardians of Scotland, and the name of our country will for our time remain, and forever the children of Scotland can be proud of their fathers and the freedom they gained. And we'll remember Andrew Murray and the men of the North Rising. 10 years ago, on the 23rd of August 2005, I followed a dear friend, historian David R. Ross, along with 1,000 other Scots, as we went down to London, marched from the Houses of Parliament to Smithfield, where Wallace was executed. In the ancient church there, we gave the man the funeral service he'd been denied for 700 years. Very proud to have written this song. Not close my eyes for the last time under Caledonian skies, with my good friends gathered all around me to say the last goodbye. But I will not be forgotten in the heart of it. I'm coming home, back where I belong. I'm coming home, I'm coming home. My spirit